I would like to acknowledge that this podcast is being recorded on the traditional lands of the Boon Wurrung and the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which Glenara is located. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge and uphold their continuing relationship to this land.
Thank you, Kristy, and welcome back to the Swinburne Professional Staff Network podcast, The Podcast Professionals with Kristy and Ash, made by professional staff for professional staff. I was so close. So this is our second podcast, and we hope people enjoyed the first one. It was really, really fun to make, and we're so excited to keep making them. Much appreciation to Nicola for all her support, and it was great to chat to her as our very first guest. If you missed listening to our first podcast, you can access it via Swinburne Commons and just search for the podcast professionals. Professionals is in our minds in quotation marks. So, Kristy, welcome back to the mic.
Oh, thanks, Ash. G'day, and it's great to well, I can't see you, but I thought I would be seeing you, but that's cool. But it's great to hear you, even though you've got your sexy voice on. And it's really ace to be recording our there you go, second episode. Oh, hello. She's just popped on the screen, everybody. Just a FYI to all our listeners, we were booked in to use the incredibly professional Swinburne official podcast studio, but due to the new COVID restrictions, we're recording this via Zoom and at home. But for now, what I was going to say is, but for next time, we are going to be using the media room, virus or no virus. So I've had my induction training with Jose and Genevieve, and I was just a bit excited to be going next level professional. But do you know what, Ash? It's going to wait until next time. So we've got a lot to get through today, Ash. So let's kick it off and get the podcast happening.
We do. And first and foremost, we want to thank everyone who is supporting and engaging with podcast professionals with our podcast. It's been it's so
amazing.
Overwhelming.
Loving it.
The amount of just support and engagement, and we really, really appreciate it. So Jose and Genevieve helping us with that there is a media studio and that we can use it. Staff engaging on Yammer, putting comments up, requesting topics, which we've really loved, some great feedback, suggestions. So really just want to say a big thank you for everyone that did listen and survived with us through our first podcast. And even more so for everyone that's come back for round two. So also in line with those topic requests, we're actually, one of the things that got some traction is we're planning to now do a parental leave special episode, and we're going to have a panel of a range of different people. So we've got Liz Bremner from PP&C. She's a senior manager in the employment experience area. We've got Joanna Hughes, who's Associate Director of Faculty Operations in Health, Arts and Design. She has been on primary parental leave once and about to go for round two. We also have Jason Pallant and Carla Ferraro from the Swinburne Business School, and they have each taken secondary and primary parental leave twice at Swinburne, returned twice now. And their partners are also took the alternative parental leave also here at Swinburne. So it looks like going to be a really good, really engaging panel. Looking forward to recording that one.
It will be really interesting, Ash, and everybody was just like, put their hand up, yep, totally want to be a part of it. So that will be coming, we're recording that next month. So it's going to be excellent. And like you said, we've been super overwhelmed by all the support provided from the Swinburne community, and our next episode sounds kind of next level. And I just love the way that we've just jumped right into this and gone, yep, we can do that.
Yeah.
So
I would even say there's no levels. It's just, hey, there's this idea. Okay, we are doing this podcast. Let's make a panel. Let's make a webinar. Let's take over the world. Or maybe, too far, but Yeah.
But we're tracking. So, yeah, awesome work, Ash, and just super pumped for the next one. But right now, let's get ready to introduce our two very special VIP guests to the Swinburne Professional Staff Network microphone as we welcome Maree Norden and Timothy Werner.
And welcome, Maree and Tim, and thank you very much for joining us here on the podcast Professionals.
Thanks, Ash. Thanks for inviting us.
It's great to see you guys. Thank you. It's, as Ash said, it's our second podcast, and we're thrilled to be speaking to you guys.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us on.
So we're very excited, and on the Professional Staff Network theme of connectedness this year, obviously diversity and inclusion is such a key part of that. So if we can start with you guys telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Swinburne, and about your role and how long you've been here.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start. So my name's Maree Norden, and I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Manager at Swinburne. And I started in July last year in full lockdown, which was a little bit challenging, but I have to say everyone that I came in contact with at Swinburne was very gracious with sharing their time and information to help me onboard to the organisation. My team was really great. I didn't meet my team in person until just before we broke up for Christmas leave. We had a Christmas lunch together. So that was really great to actually meet everyone in person. And since we've been coming into the office now 2 days a week for the last couple of months, which has been really fantastic because it's really kind of cemented feeling kind of connected to the organisation. Because I think when you start work in a lockdown situation, you miss those sort of opportunities to have those water cooler discussions and that informal chat that happens around the organisation that actually makes you feel a part of the organisation and it helps you orientate to the culture. So it's been really great to get on campus and start to meet people in person.
Yeah, I agree. And it would have, I can't imagine how hard that must have been. I've heard some stories around other people who have started, their onboarding during lockdown, and you just don't have that connection. How about you, Tim? I mean, you're 2 weeks into the role, and first of all, welcome to Swinburne.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, as you said, I've only been here for approximately 2 weeks, started Monday last week. It's been really fantastic to come on in the Indigenous Employment Coordinator role here and help us meet some of our Reconciliation Action Plan targets towards Indigenous employment. And look, everyone's been fantastic. I've been very lucky, obviously, to be able to get into the office and meet a lot of people, engage with people face to face rather than through the magic of Zoom and Teams. So it's been great for me.
Yeah, that is true. And you guys were well aware that we were going to be recording this podcast in the amazing studios, but we'll have to have a follow-up convo so we get you in another time down the track so you can experience the amazing Swinburne Media and Communications studios. They are so professional. It's just insane.
That would be great. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, very good. So, Maree, can you please explain to us, what does a diversity inclusion manager do and why is it so important?
Okay. Well, a diversity and inclusion manager works with people at all levels of the organisation to develop and implement enterprise-wide strategies and programs that promote an inclusive and respectful culture and a diverse workforce. And having an inclusive and diverse organisation is important because it brings benefits. So, for example, a diverse workforce has diverse skills, perspectives, and experiences, and this drives innovation, creativity, problem solving, and better decision making. Inclusive cultures foster employee engagement, which is really important for productivity, and diverse and inclusive workplaces are more likely to attract and retain talent. And there's quite a bit of research out there that shows that diverse teams consistently are more innovative than homogenous teams. Co-workers who understand and respect differences collaborate more effectively and with less conflict, which is obviously important for productivity. Diverse organisations are better able to understand and respond to the diverse needs of customers and communities. So obviously very important for Swinburne when we're responding to our students. Inclusive workplaces encourage speak up culture that enables concerns and risks to be addressed. And businesses with gender diverse leadership financially outperform companies with less diversity over time. So some pretty good benefits there in terms of diversity and inclusion.
And such an important role. And is that, Tim, just to bring you into the convo here, is that something that you'd noticed that Swinburne was doing well? And is that why you have come on board at Swinburne? Is that because I noticed some of your other where you've worked in the past is in, some retailers as well?
Yeah, look, I think when I look at an employer that I want to come and work with, I want to look at an inclusive culture. Being an Aboriginal man of the Larrakia Nation myself, I like to see a culturally diverse, group of people working together, because the way I believe it, we all have our own unique world perspective. We've all had different journeys to get to where we are, but we all have valued opinions that we can offer and different ways of looking at things. And one of the things that I found in my conversations with Swinburne is people are really open to learning and sharing their journey and their story. And for me, that's a huge part. We spend a lot of time at work. We spend a lot of time with our colleagues, and just by spending time with someone that comes from a different background, you can improve on who you are, both professionally and personally. And I love that about Swinburne. It's very inclusive.
Agreed. So, Tim, can you explain to us what your role does and why it's so important?
Well, I'm the Indigenous Employment Coordinator, basically in line with the Reconciliation Action Plan that Swinburne has developed, and I can take absolutely no credit for that because it was all developed before I got here. And I'd just like to say they've done a fantastic job. They're one of the few organisations that's at the Elevate level of Reconciliation Action Plans, which is a huge credit to Swinburne and the team, Andrew Gunston and the team that developed the Reconciliation Action Plan. My focus is on getting more Aboriginal people into professional and academic roles and having a look at the way that we're actually engaging with the Indigenous community and Indigenous professional network. So obviously working with diversity and inclusion, we have a lot of people that cross over into that sphere. So it's great that we're able to work together collaboratively and really get that messaging out there.
Absolutely. And what would you say are some of the challenges in your role, both to you both? That same question.
Maree, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tim. I think, look, one of the challenges, I think, is really understanding and responding to the complexity of intersectionality and making sure that we're removing barriers so that our education and employment opportunities are accessible to everybody in the community. I think another challenge that's cropping up is actually understanding this new hybrid way of working and how that impacts people differently, and just making sure that we're still accessible while we're working in a hybrid way. And I think personally for me, another challenge is really maintaining that engagement across the Swinburne community for our D&I initiatives and bringing everyone along on the journey and reinforcing that we've all got a role to play in progressing diversity and inclusion at Swinburne, which can be really challenging when everyone's really busy and they've got a lot of work on their plate. To actually get people to commit additional time to get involved with D&I initiatives can be a little bit challenging.
And particularly on this day today, we're seeing like a big spike in COVID cases. So personally, I feel like there's a feeling everyone's just going to retreat into their little shells again. I feel like just in the last couple of weeks, I've been coming into the office quite a lot and being on campus. I really love it. I love having connection with my colleagues. But I just hope this doesn't go for too long, because I feel like there's a real swell or bubbling of events and there's so much happening at the minute. So I don't know, I hope that kind of connection doesn't sort of get like broken like I felt like it was last year.
Yeah, look, I think with being in lockdown, it's really difficult to create that momentum and engagement around events and bringing people together. But look, we're very well versed now in terms of connecting online. But you're right, it's still not the same as actually making those connections in person.
Definitely.
And then the other big challenge that we're all sort of grappling with, amongst also a time of change for the organisation, is of course the hybrid piece of that, how we get the balance right without over-enforcing, micromanaging what teams can and can't do, what sort of work from home, work from the office balance, not to mention a drive to reduce our footprint. So we need to move staff from Luton Lane and do a lot of sharing. And I think informally there's a lot of appetite for that, but it is another layer of challenge that people are grappling with. So I'm with you, Kristy. I'm concerned about people retreating too far and a reaction the other way of then people saying, no, we must always utilise campus fully at all times, and just losing the balance, more COVID. Surprises
I think a lot of people have different ways that they're comfortable working. Like I know very much in like the Aboriginal field, that face-to-face connection is really important. Whenever I have the opportunity to speak to an Aboriginal professional or colleague or friend, we do that face-to-face. The Zoom meetings and the email conversations, phone conversations are basically normally to set up that in-person conversation. So, I mean, when you're having a look at some of the challenges across that we're facing in the Indigenous employment space, we've got a very limited pool that we're looking at the moment. Anyway, the population is only 3%. If you have a look at the Aboriginal amount of Aboriginal people that are actually going through university and finishing their degrees, it's a very low percentage of that. And what we've got to understand is that it wasn't that long ago that the referendum was to include us as Australians. That was only 1967. So what we're seeing is the second generation from that are the first ones that are going to university, they're attempting to get professional careers, that are being engaged in corporate, private and public sectors. So we have a range of challenges that we'll need to face and, limited numbers. So for us, that visibility piece of what we're doing and encouraging people to start looking at Swinburne as an employer is going to be a significant challenge for us. But then how do we engage? Is it through this virtual medium that people are starting to become more comfortable with? It doesn't sit exactly the same in Aboriginal communities than with the Aboriginal professional circles. So we have to adapt and we have to change and we have to take advantage of those moments when we can catch up in person to really build those long-term and lasting relationships.
Sorry. Actually, go ahead.
I was going to say, Maree, I wonder if that's where your area comes in with the diversity and inclusion piece. And like, do Tim and Maree, do your areas then work together on finding ways and information and almost maybe expectations of staff and managers to be able to be inclusive in that way and learn from communities or cultures that have more of a face-to-face engagement, and what benefits and how we can reasonably set up a structure around that?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think anyone who's a manager or not even a manager, it's really important to actually reflect on how you're communicating and engaging with your colleagues, your peers, your students, your stakeholders and your partners, and just making sure that you're actually understanding the other person's or the other party's perspective, where they're coming from, and just making sure that you've got clear lines of communication, and that you're always, yes, I guess, reflecting on how you can actually improve your engagement and connection with people. And definitely D&I has a big role to play in that.
Ash, that was the same question I was going to ask, but you asked it much more eloquently than I did. So, yeah, we are kind of tapped into the same brain here.
We've got one and we share it.
Yeah. Tim, you've got a lot of things coming up in the next week or so. Do you want to tell us about some of the awesome stuff that's happening at Swinburne and how we can be involved?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's really hard at the moment with this latest COVID. There's a few things that are planned. We're not sure if they're going ahead. There's a student walk that you can register for online. If people are interested in that, please feel free to reach out to myself or the MTC. They have the links in where you can register. It's on June 2nd. However, the restrictions I've told are going to June 4th. At this stage, so it's really hard to say for Reconciliation Week. One thing, NAIDOC Week's not too far away. It's always the first week of July, so there'll be some amazing events happening for both students and for staff that we'll be able to get along to. But my recommendation is always have a look at what's going out in community. There are a lot of community organisations celebrating these weeks, doing amazing things, and it's really an opportunity to get to know the Indigenous people that you live and work around. So, and hear some of their stories, hear some from the local mob, what's been happening in the area, what exciting things are happening. There's more Aboriginal businesses popping up every day. There's more Aboriginal co-ops getting together and working on different projects for the Aboriginal community to build resilience and strength. So it's a nice way of actually reaching out and sharing a bit of yourself as well. And that's what we're about in the Indigenous community. It's not just about us sharing our story with you, but we want to hear your story as well, and build those long-lasting relationships.
I know next week we have a morning tea organised, and also in the marketing and management we've got some training coming up, half-day training with the Indigenous Centre.
Yeah, Koori Heritage Trust.
Yeah.
Amazing training. If anybody's interested in doing that, please go onto Elmo and register your interest to get into those programs. Look, the Koori Heritage Trust do an amazing job. It's a really great balance of understanding why we have these sorts of programs and learning a little bit about the past and a little bit about Aboriginal culture. And this is the start. Like, you're never going to be an expert in these areas, but you can get a little bit more knowledge and be able to have a conversation and feel comfortable talking about this topic, because sometimes I feel like people shy away from it, and that's the opposite that we want. We want you to feel comfortable to come and ask us questions, ask us about our culture, ask us about our journey and how we got to where we are today, and understand us as people. And that's what I think is really important, that human connection. I can't understate how important that is just for human beings in general. And look, that's another reason why we do the face-to-face, because it's a very different having a conversation with a person that's physically sitting in front of you as opposed to someone who's on the other end of a phone or a Zoom call.
Yeah, I actually did the training last year, and I'm doing it again because I loved it so much.
Yeah, you learn something new each time you do as well. You watch, because your mind will pinpoint onto something that'll intrigue you, and then the next time you'll learn something new. And another thing, like when the Koori Heritage Trust opens back up, if you can get along to one of their cultural walks, please do so. They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maree, were you and I in the same yoga classes last year? Did we do the Indigenous yoga?
No, that wasn't me. It must have been another Maree.
I did that last year. I did a lot of stuff last year. So just whatever Swinburne put out, I'm like, yep, I'll do that. Well, our time's nearly up, guys. It's been excellent chatting to you both. Both Ash and I really appreciate you making the time and being available to chat to us today and learning a little bit more about what your role is at Swinburne. And I'm sorry that we didn't get to get into the studio, but next time we most definitely will. But again, thank you very much for being a part of the Swinburne Professional Staff Network podcast.
Yes.
It's all about connecting and reconnecting and engaging with staff. So as soon as we can...
It's been really nice to talk to you both and just, meet more colleagues and have a bit more of a chance to have conversations that even on campus or off campus we wouldn't necessarily have if we work in different buildings or don't have meetings in the same areas. So thank you from me as well.
Yeah, and hope to meet you face to face on campus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks guys. All righty, Ash. Oh, high five. Let's do the wrap up of our second ever podcast. And I've got to say, I'm just loving this. I'm really enjoying having something new to play with, and I am really enjoying the podcast. How about you?
Absolutely loving it. And I will say second round is a lot less nerve-wracking than the first one we recorded.
Right, I know. I was quietly, bricking myself last time.
Right. And I felt a lot more at ease with this one. And I'm really looking forward to our next episode, the special episode where we're doing the panel for the parental leave, engaging and re-engaging from parental leave. But I realise now it's also about engaging, how much you want to engage through your parental leave. So looking forward to that panel. And because we've had such amazing feedback from our network, it's a really good chance for people to, on the Yammer or in a chat to Kristy and myself, ask questions. If there is anything that you want to know about parental leave and engagement, we'd really love to hear any questions that people might have or comments. And we will put that to the panel for discussion.
Send it through.
Absolutely.
And not forgetting how awesome were Maree and Tim. I mean, it was excellent to chat to those guys and a really good insight into what goes on in their world.
So good. And such crucial topics, obviously, not just with Reconciliation Week next week and the events, but in terms of a forward way of thinking and working and how we really should be engaging as an organisation but with each other going forward as sort of more of a global perspective.
All right, Ash, that was the second podcast for the Swinburne Professional Staff Network, and just reiterating that the purpose of doing these podcasts is to connect and reconnect and engage with our work colleagues, and we hope you're enjoying it because we're absolutely having a ball doing this, and we look forward to bringing you the next one. And in fact, the next ones are all going to be in the studio. Well, maybe not the next one, but the next one after that is, and we've got that all lined up. So, over and out for now, Ash. See you next time, everyone. All right, now, I'm going to stop recording. I haven't got my glasses on. Ash, can you see the button?
Again.
Good job.